Control Flow
and Loops
by Andrew Tavkart
and Calvin Champa. Relational and logical expressions.
These are expressions that are conceptually either true or false. These expressions use both relational and logical operators to determine what is true or false. In MATLAB, relational and logical expressions are answered with ones and zeros. A 1 in MATLAB indicates the expression is true. A 0 in MATLAB indicates the expression is false.
Relational and logical operators.
For relational operators, from top to bottom, we have greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and not equal to. For the logical operators from top to bottom, we have or, and not.
Using relational operators.
In order to determine which variables in this array are greater than or equal to 4, we can use a relational operator. By typing x is greater than or equal to 4, MATLAB will check each value in the array and determine if it is true or false. MATLAB will then give you the answer of 0100110, telling you which variables fit the expression.
Using logical operators.
In this case, we can link two expressions using a logical operator. By typing x is greater than or equal to 2 and x is less than 6, MATLAB will check the array for variables that fit both expressions. You will receive 0000010 because 4 is the only number that satisfies both expressions. Operator order of precedence.
MATLAB's operator precedence is similar to PEMDAS in math. Starting with the operator with the greatest precedence is the parentheses, power, negation, not, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, relational. Then the logical operators are and, or, and assignment. The if statement.
The if statement chooses whether another statement or group of statements is executed or not. The general form of the if statement is as shown in the slide. The condition is a relational expression that is conceptually or logically true or false. The action is a statement or a group of statements that will be executed if the condition is true.
If statement examples.
In the example on the left, num equals 4. The condition checks if num is greater than 3. Because the condition is true, the action of num equals 5 is executed. The statement then ends. In the example on the right, num equals 4 again, but because the condition of x is less than 3 is false, the action is not executed and the statement ends. The if-else statement.
The if-else statement is used to choose between two statements or sets of statements. The general form is as follows. First, the condition is evaluated. If it is true, then the set of statements designated as action 1 is executed, and that is the end of the if-else statement. If, instead, the condition is false, the second part of statements designated as action 2 is executed, and that is the end of the if-else statement. If-else statement example.
For this example, an if-else statement will be used to determine and print whether or not a random number in the range from 0 to 1 is less than 0.5. MATLAB will give you a random number and run it through this if-else statement. If the random number satisfies the first condition, it was less than 0.5 will be displayed. But if the first condition is false, it was not less than 0.5 will be displayed instead. The else-if clause.
To choose from among more than two actions, the else-if clause is used. The actions of the if, else-if, and else clauses are naturally bracketed by the reserved words if, else-if, else, and end. else-if clause examples.
In this example, each condition is checked in order just like a normal if-else statement, except this time we are able to have multiple conditions. The switch statement.
Switch statements are used when an expression is tested to see whether it is equal to one of several possible values. The general form of a switch statement is as follows. The switch statement starts with the reserved word switch and ends with the reserved word end. The switch expression is compared in sequence to the case expressions, case expression 1, case expression 2, etc. If the value of the switch expression matches case expression 1, for example, then action 1 is executed and the switch statement ends. If the value matches case expression 3, then action 3 is executed. Switch case example.
In this example, the user will enter a number 1 or 3. This allows MATLAB to check which condition is met and which action to fulfill. In this case, the otherwise clause is also used as an error check. The is function.
The is function tests whether or not something is true. These functions have names that begin with the word is. Is function examples.
The isLetter function on the left tells you if the character typed in to MATLAB is a letter or not. As shown, when H is typed in, we receive 1, which means the condition is true. When we type in 6, we receive a 0 because it is not a letter. The example of the isNaN function on the right tells you which values in an array are not real numbers. For loops.
The for loop is used when it is necessary to repeat statements in a script or function and when it is known ahead of time how many times the statements will be repeated. The statements that are repeated are called the action of the loop. The variable that is used to iterate through values is called a loop variable. A general form of the for loop is as follows. Loop bar is the loop variable. Range is the range of values through which the loop variable is to iterate, and the action of the loop consists of all the statements up to the end.
Example of a for loop.
In this example, the condition is an array of variable I from 1 to 3. The action of printing I walk down the street is executed for every number in I. Therefore, I walk down the street is repeated 3 times. The while statement is used as the conditional loop in MATLAB. It is used to repeat an action when ahead of time it is not known how many times the action will be repeated. The general form of the while statement is followed by a condition, which is then followed by an action. The action, which consists of any number of statements, is executed as long as the condition is true. Example of a while loop. To begin the while statement, the variables are defined. In this example, the first variable, called number, equals 6, and the variable called count equals 0. Next, the condition is stated as while the variable number is greater than 1, which means that MATLAB will continue on with the loop as long as the condition is true. The action of the loop defines a new value for the variable number so that the number will be divided by 2 each time it passes through the loop. The second action of the loop adds 1 to the count variable each time it passes through the loop so that MATLAB can count each time the loop is performed.
Try-catch.
Try-catch construction allows the user to override the default error behavior for a set of program statements. If any statement in a try-catch generates an error, program control goes to the catch block that contains the error. Try-catch example.
In this example, When we try to multiply these two arrays, which have two different bounds, we receive an error. But because of the catch statement, our own error message is displayed instead of MATLAB's default error message.